All right, is social media good or bad for your children?
Joining us now to talk about the pros and the cons is Dr. Laura Saunders. Living. I can't wait to show this to my Laura.
Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday.
I'm apologizing for my hair, Dr. Laura. It's a little bit of a mess. It has nothing to do with my mental state of mind.
Well, my hair's on fleek today, so I'm...
All right,
you look great.
You look great, as always. We're talking about social media. Is it good or bad for your kids? I think I have my answer, but we're going to let you pontificate.
But let's just talk about 90% of teens. I actually thought the number might even be higher. 90% of teens have a smartphone.
Right. So that was a little shocking to me, and I thought, oh my God, 90%. Then I thought only 90%. So, but it says smartphone, so maybe 10% have a flip phone. So, I frequently rail against the effects of social media, but, a study was published recently in the Journal of Adolescent Research Review to talk about some of the evidence. And really, the easiest or the shortest way to describe relationship between teens and social media, it's complicated. However, there are 4 distinct areas that social media affects for youth: connections, identity, learning, and emotions and emotional development.
All right, so let's start with the first.
So connections.
Connections.
And you say that there is some good and some bad, but so I guess they're connected.
They're connected, right. And the connections are good, especially for those individuals that have more difficulty. They have social anxiety. They have, they live in more rural and disconnected areas. Certainly during COVID, when people were very disconnected, it was helpful. So some amount of connection can be helpful. It becomes problematic when that's your only means of connection is through, as I say, the computer. But it also leads to a sense of isolation because you're talking to people through a computer, and it also lends itself to a lot of miscommunication, or device also. So it lends itself to miscommunication.
And they're sharing social media, which I guess would go to your next part, identity. If you have a teen, especially teen girls, it's very normal for them. They're constantly putting things on their Snapchat story. They're talking about themselves, taking pictures of themselves. So how does that factor in?
Right. So, I do worry about, people comparison, right? You've heard me say social comparison, joy. Well, we spend a lot of time comparing ourselves to others. Even as adults, it's really problematic. It makes us feel bad about ourselves because we compare ourselves. Problematic. That if you equate likes with popularity or self-worth, that's worrisome to me. So, while there's aspects you can certainly seek out people on social media that have all different aspects of identity, so you can find that sense of connection. But when you use it for social comparison to make yourself feel bad, that's
all right. And we're talking about perspectives and expose them to new ideas, but it could also interfere with education. How so?
So, I just got a notice home from my daughter's school last week about, keeping kids off their phones and social media during the day, right? So it is an intense distraction for young people because they are so kind of attached to it, or for some I'd even say addicted to it. So the fact that there are options, but they get so caught up in it, they want to check that, the notifications go off. So it can easily be a distraction as well. And then, in terms of emotional impact, it can obviously impact individuals both positively and negatively. I do worry that sometimes social media is more of a source of concern and worry. There's more aspects of judgments from peers. So it's kind of balancing these 4 areas: connections, identity, education, and emotions. So trying to minimize the harmful risks and maximize the benefits.
So that's a loaded question and a minute left, but what do we do as parents? Because especially with teens, they have more autonomy with their phones, and some of it, if they're on TikTok and in their private stories, we can't even see it all.
Yes, and so it's really trying to monitor and supervise as much as possible. And because young people are even better and craftier at getting around things, you have to sometimes look for the secondary effects. They look like they're struggling. They look like they're having a hard time. They've been more moody lately. Something's wrong. So monitor and supervise where you can, and then you have to address the secondary effects if problems start to arise.
All right. Always good advice. Thank you, Dr. Laura. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You
Thanks,
too.
Dr.